Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Scafol Survey Solutions podcast. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by Neil Trewick. Am I saying Trewick right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well done. Nobody ever gets that right either, so fair play.
Well, my name's Rhodri and no one ever gets that.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so highly coveted multi-award winning residential surveyor. So I normally introduce people, but today I'm just going to list off a couple of the awards that I've seen on your website. So Trew Surveying wins best services business at the Best New Tees Business Awards 2024. Neil was shortlisted for the RICS Residential Surveyor of the Year 2024. Shortlisted for the UK RICS Award for Outstanding Contribution to Surveying 2024. UK Final Award winner at the Federation of Small Business Awards. North East FSB Small Business Award winner 2024. Trew Surveying wins Best New Sole Trader for the second consecutive year in 2023. I'm pretty sure I can go further back.
I'm doing all right by the sounds of it.
Yeah, so other than all those accolades I've just mentioned, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe go a little bit past the glamour and glory?
Yes, I mean they're nice little touches. I mean that's not obviously nobody set up a business with those type of things in mind. That is sort of really, I don't know, they're the fun bits, I guess. And sometimes people maybe don't see all the other horrible bits that go on in the background that we don't post online about someone having a whinge at us or anything like that, do we? Yeah, I mean to give you my background, I came into surveying quite late in terms of working career. Prior to that, I was a secondary school maths teacher. Um, won't go into that too much, but I knew after a very short period of time that couldn't be the next 30 years of my working life. So I sort of looked at where can I do something else? How could I escape this? What would interest me? I'd always been interested in sort of houses. I'd spent time sort of doing houses up in the past. It was something I had an interest in, and I sort of stumbled across the Saba course through a friend of mine. He'd done it sort of prior, and he told me about it, and it sounded like it would tick all my boxes, and it would give me a way out of the job I didn't really want into a career I did. So that's what I did. I did Saba, qualified through that, left teaching, and started my journey as a surveyor. It quite quickly took a downturn though, which was a sad time at the time, but it ended up being the best thing that ever happened. So I worked for a company that they went into liquidation. They left a lot of us unemployed without any sort of warning. I mean, I found out I didn't have a job on Monday afternoon, a month before I was getting married. Didn't really have many options in terms of being unemployed for very long, so basically decided Trew Surveying should step up, and I was made redundant on the Monday. On Friday, we were trading, and I did my first surveys on the Friday that week. So 4 days later, I set up Trew Surveying, and now it's grown into this multi-award winning business, which somehow must have fluked it, I guess. But yeah, we're doing okay.
No, I say, well, my first question is normally take us through your journey and what inspired you to start your own business, but it's really the first time I've heard someone say that they weren't necessarily inspired to start their own business, but
Oh, absolutely not. No,
as a result of some unfortunate circumstances. But you were saying it's probably one of the best things that's happened to you.
100%. I mean, I don't think I would have maybe taken that leap. Definitely not as soon as I did if I hadn't been pushed. We're all guilty of sometimes just getting comfy, aren't we? I suppose. And I was comfortable. I was sort of doing well. We earned decent money as surveyors. I wasn't eating out the bins or anything like that. I was pretty happy. But yeah, circumstances sort of presented themselves, and it was, yeah, I had to react. It wasn't pre-planned. In an ideal world, if you know you're starting a business, you would have all sorts going on in the background, wouldn't you? You'd be getting your website built. You'd be secretly probably nudging some of your clients and say, "Come with me when I go." All of that stuff.
You don't do
But
that.
I didn't have any of those. I just wasn't afforded the luxury of time, unfortunately, which it maybe helped because I sometimes we can maybe waste a bit of time sweating the small stuff and overthinking. I had to be really sort of tunnel vision, decisive. Probably spent about 30 seconds deciding on my business name, for example. Got company registered that same night, and then the key was just getting a shell of a business together, get the insurances in place, get out, earn some money. Once some money came in, we'll polish it and we'll make it better. We'll get the website built. We'll buy better software, and that's sort of how I've done. So I've had to grow as I go.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
but it's
interesting.
worked.
Like when you're a surveyor working for a company, as I've worked for a large company, and then I've done the self-employed thing as well. And there's certain things that you don't realize is part of the business. So when you're a surveyor, sometimes you can work somewhere and you just have a diary and you're like, well, I'm going there that day, there that day, that day. I complete the survey, I send it off, I do my call, move on.
Yeah,
Whereas when you're self-employed, there's so much more. And looking at, again, going back to the list of accolades that you've won, you're doing something right. So what were the main things that is there anything that surprised you that you had to do or spend more time on as a sole trader, or as running your own business, that you
yeah.
even considered was part
The
of running a business when you were a surveyor?
yeah the way I can definitely uh, account for how my free time is different. When I work for somebody else, I would play golf 3 times a week because I would be finished my jobs, I'd have everything done, admin done, and nothing else really to do. Some days, if I was on it, could be done by 2 o'clock on the golf course by 2:30. Whiz round the golf course because nobody's on a Monday afternoon at 2:30. Back home at 5. That was a lovely life. Since I've started this business in the last 3 years, I would probably say I played golf about 3 or 4 times in 3 years. Where I used to play that many times a week. So that shows my sort of free time that I wasn't ready to get. It's all you're totally right. The surveying bit that's our bread and butter. That's what we're initially trained to do. We go to our job, we do our job to the best of our ability, we feed all that back to the client, and we write them an all singing, all dancing report, and that would be great if that's where it ended. But yeah, when you're now sort of the sole trader, there's lots of other hats you've got to wear, haven't you? You've got to sell, you've got to take every call. If anybody wants to book in a survey, they're coming straight through to you. You've then got to do the admin that follows. If they book it in, you're sending out invoices, you're sending terms and conditions, um then there's the marketing. You've got people got to know where you are and who you are and how to find you. If you don't tell them, nobody else will because you're on your own. Um, then you're an accountant. You're running your accounts, aren't you? You're tracking everything. Um, you've got to speak to insurers. You've got to find the best deals for your insurance. You've got to remember to renew that. You've got to make sure all your registration stuffs are up to date. All your licenses get renewed, and it just never ends, does it? You think you get to the bottom of the list, and then another 4 things jump on, and
Yeah,
that's the bit that probably other people don't see who haven't done it yet on their own.
it's amazing. When I went self-employed, I had no idea how I was really very aware of every fee I charge, how much I charge, how many I'm doing a week. Like when you're employed, your diary's full for you.
They're just jobs. I've got 2 jobs today. That's it,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
And then you might look ahead like a week to see what you're doing next week. But then when you're self-employed and you're looking ahead 5, 6 days, you're like, there's nothing in my diary. You're a bit like, especially at the very beginning when you don't have,
That's it's the
you're very
beginning.
successful. So you've probably got a bit more of a cushion, but you're still, you don't work from paycheck to paycheck when you're
No, the beginning's
work
really scary,
day to
isn't it?
day, don't you?
I can still remember sort of almost feeling like it's life or death when I'm on the phone to that client at the beginning and I'm selling a survey. You have to say yes.
Yeah.
I can't. If this lady says no to me, I've lost a job. What will I do? And you think that might be the last one I ever get. because you don't know when the phone would stop ringing, do you? Thankfully, I'm through that now, and I'm more experienced. I know I've got a steady flow of work. It never goes away. It just never will. But you don't know that at the beginning. You're right. You're totally unknown.
Yeah,
What?
that leads on nicely to my next question then. So, as a surveyor, how important is business generation for your practice? And do you have any strategies that you found most effective in attracting new clients? So you say, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of it is reputation, but then I think there's probably a lot more hard work that goes into it than just having a good rep.
Yeah. So I have. It's evolved. It now doesn't look the same as it looked 3 years ago when I started. So when I first started, I mean, I was willing to tart myself out to anyone who would have me effectively. I would do any work that was there. Um, so I would do the panel work. I would do some of the low fee panelled work that now I'm in a good position that I can turn that away now because I have all my own self-generated leads. But at the beginning, it was just a great way to, for me, it wasn't necessarily, I've like I say, I didn't have a plan to do this. I never started this business to be super rich or anything like that. It's just my job. So I tried to take myself away from looking at the panel fees as like lower fees and begrudging them. The panel work was another job, and it was another opportunity for me to do a good job for a client who could then tell their friends, their family, oh, if you need a surveyor, this guy did ours and he was great. I couldn't recommend him highly enough. So I wasn't bothered about the money at the beginning. Um, I mean, that was sort of reflected. The first 11 surveys I did for Trew Surveying were free. So I didn't charge a penny for them. There's more behind that. So that was basically the company I mentioned when they went into liquidation. I'd put forward some self-generated jobs that they paid for their surveys, and then the companies wound up. So there's no way they were ever getting their money back. And their contact is me.
Yeah.
So they're kind of ringing me and they're upset, and I totally got it. And there was 11 in total. So I kind of had to say, you're not going to get your money back from this company, but unfortunately, by all means, try your best. And even if you do, it will take a long time. It's with legal people now that, and you're talking sort of £400-500, which in my area is a lot of money
Yeah,
a
my
lot of
area.
money to anybody. But so I kind of had to make a business decision right from the beginning, which was definitely not the one I wanted to make, but it was the right one to. I mean, there was 11 people plus me who were going to be out of pocket. There was nothing I could do about me being out of pocket, but I could do something about those 11. So I kind of just took it would be better just one person being completely out of pocket than 12 of us. That's just easy maths. There's my maths teacher. I did learn something from school, didn't I? So
You're
I,
supposed to be
I
teaching
just
people,
said
not
to
learning. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of just said to these 11 people, said, look, don't panic. I'm going to get on my feet. It'll take me a week or two, but I will go out and do those surveys for you. I don't want any money for it. But I sort of give him a wink and a nudge, but did say, however, make sure you tell all your friends, your family, your hairdressers, anything that I helped you out, and they effectively became salesmen for me for the first months. That yeah, to hit on fees, but it was worthwhile doing sort of one good deed, and it then
Yeah.
snowballs. And yeah, reputation now has grown, and I work hard to build good relationships with estate agents, solicitors, mortgage advisors, vendors. I tend to just try and be nice, honest, decent with people, and it goes a long way. And it sounds dead easy, but
No,
people
definitely.
respond to that, and that's what they like, and it builds trust, doesn't it?
It's a really unique viewpoint that not a lot of people would have. So, in the surveying industry these days, if you ended up suggesting that you were going to end up doing 10, 11 jobs for free, because of the reason, I mean, the reasons you stated are valid, hugely valid. You know, they're going to be out of pocket, so on and so forth. But if you flip it on your head, you're taking on a massive amount of liability with that absolutely zero
And
benefit.
and they're not free either, are they? They also cost me
Yeah,
physically. I've got to drive to these jobs. I've got to have my equipment. I've got the insurance cover.
Also your time as well. It's your
And
time.
this,
Your
yeah,
time is a commodity that
yeah,
you're spending on them, and it's also, like I said, it's the liability on that survey. Because even if you haven't charged them for it, if you made a mistake on a survey, they'd be knocking at your door saying,
100% hard to write it would be. Yeah,
so, but you've seen a benefit that not many people with others see is it's an opportunity to build a reputation and help someone out at the same time. And because, someone that you've done a genuine favour for or helped them genuinely, I mean, doing a survey for someone, yeah, you're helping them out. But effectively, anyone else could help them out. They could go to a plethora of different surveyors.
yeah.
Whereas what you've done is you've done it, no one else, I guarantee you, they could have rung 50 other surveyors, and at no point would any of them say, "Oh yeah, we'll do it pro bono."
Yeah,
So
I mean, I effectively cleaned up a mess that wasn't mine to clean.
yeah,
That's how I looked at it. But I had a mop in my armory, so why not?
but you saw that there could be a benefit to you by doing it as well.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
yeah, you taking a big risk because there's no guarantee in it. But ultimately, even if you only got 2 jobs off the back of that, from those 2 jobs, you've earned some money, and then it's 2 more opportunities to increase your reputation. And reputation's a snowball, isn't it? It
yeah,
goes both ways. Don't get me wrong, but it starts small. But the more and more people hear about you, good or bad, the more and more that reputation will grow.
yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, I think I've discovered I've got a bit of a flair for marketing. But before I knew this, stuff like that, what I did in week one, I was actually doing really good marketing there. I just didn't know. I just didn't know that was what it was. It was just, but yeah, in terms of marketing myself, that was a great first step. Um, and then as I've progressed, I do a bit more traditional ways of marketing, I suppose you would do. But
So talk to me about the traditional ways of marketing that you've got
traditional ways of
a
marketing.
flair for. So what is your flair? Why would you say you're indifferent or better than other
But
people?
it, well, there's things that there's things we could all do that cost us no money, and then there's other things that you would need money for, and I've sort of dipped into both, and I've made some mistakes with them and financial mistakes as well.
Is
Um,
that sponsoring Middlesbrough? Is that a financial?
no, that's the best money I've ever spent. Have you seen our players that we've spent all my money on? They're obviously doing great, aren't they? Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'll get to that one in a minute, but I mean, the free ones are just have a personal brand. So everyone talks about it, and it's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it? But it's free to do. So why aren't we all doing it on LinkedIn? Have a bit of a presence if that's going to be your platform in a professional industry like we operate in. It makes sense to be visible, and clients do now. Everyone's got the internet in the pocket, so people do look into you. If you get recommended to them or they're looking for a survey, it takes them 2 minutes to know about you. So make sure what they're finding out about you is what you want them to see. So that's what we're doing on LinkedIn, on websites. I mean, you mentioned all the award wins there. They're just really nice touches, and they're the shiny bits of the job, and it is really good to get recognised when you're working hard. But the best bit that they do, which I would implore anyone who has an opportunity to go into a local awards thing or anything like that, the benefits you can get from even just being nominated is great because it generates a newspaper article, even if it's local news. That'll come up when somebody Googles you. You'll have your website, and they'll say you're shortlisted for an award, or you've won an award, or go the other way. You've been in jail for whatever. You've got to be careful, haven't you? But everything now is you've got a digital footprint. So wherever you can control the narrative, just do it, especially if it costs you nothing. That's what I feel with LinkedIn. Um, and then I've done things so when I've started doing well, I've put my money where my mouth is. So yeah, I sponsor Middlesbrough Football Club. That's a bit of fun for me. I've season ticket holder since I was 7. Does somebody sit watching the match and sees my little board go past them and suddenly go, that reminds me, I need a survey? Probably not. But it's all subliminal. If people start seeing you enough that people are given confidence in probably size. So for a sole trader, people will look at that and go, he must be doing pretty well. They're a big company. I see them everywhere. I see his car all branded. seen him when I played golf. I've seen him at the Middlesbrough match. Can't get away from him, and that's your subliminal marketing, isn't it? I guess that is
Yeah,
maybe more powerful than you ever physically see because you never actually see the money come in from that marketing.
yeah, it's tough, isn't it? And it's like you
Yeah.
say, you don't go to a Middlesbrough game, see Trew Surveying and going, oh, I better get a survey. You see Trew Surveying, and then a week, a month, a year, 2 years later, you're like, oh, I need to get a survey. Oh,
I
Trew,
recognise that name.
yeah. Or you just, yeah, you remember it and stuff like that. So that is that is an interesting look. So you're going to show us all your Middlesbrough shirts then? Go on.
No, I can't show you that. So behind me there, if we can see. So that is the Carling Cup winners shirt, signed by the Carling
First
Cup
and
winning
last time
team.
Middlesbrough ever won anything.
The only thing we've ever won, ever,
Yeah.
and that's the signed shirt. So that's my pride and joy. And then if we look over my shoulder here, so every season we sponsor Middlesbrough, I get a signed shirt by that team. So I've sponsored them for the last 3 years. So they've got this. So that's nice little touches, aren't there? But
It's a nice way to
yeah,
view it again, though, isn't it? Because you've managed to mix a passion. Again, I'm probably forcing the dots together here, but similarly, you found an opportunity where you can find something that you're quite passionate about, and then make something of that. So you support a club. You say you've been going there since you were 7 years old, and you've seen an opportunity where you can. In your small way, I don't know anything about football finances or anything like that, but in a small way, you're contributing towards a club that you support, but you are obviously sending out marketing materials, subliminal messages, or even to the point where LinkedIn content, social media content you have, because I've seen pictures of you on the pitch with shirts and stuff like that,
exactly.
and I know it, and I'm not even looking for a server.
Yeah.
So it's obviously
I,
doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I with things like that as well. I try and keep my LinkedIn and my social media quite light, and there's a reason for that. I think we do a pretty serious job. We can't always be serious all the time, so that can sort of give a glimmer into showing. Again, it's showing people I'm a normal person who has interests the same as you would as well, and not a scary doom and gloom surveyor like we've somehow built this weird reputation up with. But some people think of you as the Grim Reaper when you turn up to the house, and if you can break a few of those walls down and show, no, well, in my spare time, I go to the match the same as you, or I play golf, or whatever. It just like I say, it just strips back a layer a little bit, and I do similar stuff. I do dash stuff when I'm on holiday with me branded towel, and I've got a little branded flag that. I bought that flag for about £10 and it has ended up being the best marketing tool I've ever had. Every event I've ever been to, that flag somehow comes out and it gets held up. And yes, but again, you're right. How can I create some content for social media? You don't have to have video shoots and you don't have to spend hours doing these. Sometimes just a little daft picture of something is enough, isn't it? And it works. But yeah, I've tried things that didn't work. I got a ginormous sign built and put up on a local driving range. Um, that I had a great idea that people go and hit golf balls at my big sign all day, and they'll naturally see my sign because they're hitting the ball at it. It's got to stay in the brain. That was great, but it ended up being really expensive and survived about a month. So, there you go. So you win some, you lose some. So I'm not going to say everything I do is bob on or anything like that, but I'll have a go, and I don't sort of regret having a go at that. It was a good idea. It's just
So next time, just buy a scrap car from a scrap yard
yeah,
and spray Trew Surveying onto the side of it.
hey, don't give me crazy ideas like that because they turn into reality very swiftly in my world. But yeah, that's not the worst idea I've ever heard or come
Yeah.
up with myself.
But it's interesting though, because marketing is evolving, and my next question is a little bit more about the evolution of marketing and technology and stuff. But marketing these days, it is changing because of the different social media side of things, your LinkedIn's, your Instagrams. It's all about the content, isn't it? And it doesn't have to be a video of, oh, here's a defect. Look, I saw this. I mean, it's sometimes good to have that if you want to have that kind of you want to resonate with people, showing your
Yeah.
competencies and stuff like that. And it's the same as having all your letters after your name. You want to demonstrate your qualifications. You want to be able to show your competencies. But also there's a lot to be said about just getting your name out there. So, like you said, standing there with a flag, having a photo or a video of you, in the middle of the football ground. It's all content that just gives you an opportunity to post something that someone will see, and they will remember it for if and when they think they need a survey.
That's it. That's all it is, isn't it, really? It's yeah, and it inspires confidence with the public, which is the game, isn't it, at the end of the day? And then they can check your competency. We've all got Google reviews and things like that. There's over 200 five-star Google reviews if they want to go and read about what I do at work, how good I am at work. That's all there in that sense. It doesn't always need to be all work. Equally, it shouldn't always all be all messing about, I suppose. I would always say just do you. So if you're funny, be funny. If you're not, don't try because people spot that a million miles off. If you're serious,
Absolutely.
yeah. If you're serious, be serious, and that's another sort of likable trait. There's people I follow on LinkedIn. I love their posts because I learn.
Yeah.
I love reading their stuff, and I think, oh, do you know what? I'd save me learning, going and finding it out. I watch your posts because you probably tell me stuff before I even need to know it, and they're great. Do that if that's your thing, and you like to sort of teach and educate. Go down that lane. It's all everyone has a place, and we're all welcome whichever way we want to go, aren't we? But yeah, that's how I would use social media. I just think it's useful and let people see a little bit that they wouldn't normally see in here, and just builds more trust, I think.
Yeah.
We're all just people. We just do a job, don't we, at the end of the day?
No, like I say, I generally, it is quite a unique post, a unique view on it, particularly within this particular industry. Don't get me wrong, there's loads of other industries that are very much, the fitness industry is very much like that these days. You get all these people vlogging,
Yeah.
blog, all about this and this and this, and they're doing it in a much more informal, funny kind of way, and there's some profanities and stuff, but people can kind of resonate with it. But you couldn't really get away with that to the
We've got to tread on a careful line, haven't we? We are still
professionals.
we're professionals. You wouldn't want your solicitor messing about, I suppose. So you've got to get a balance. You have. I mean, when I started, I was doing all my own marketing, and I look back now at it, and some of it's a bit rough, really. Now I earn a little bit more money. I pay a marketing company. They help me, so I've got a local company that help with that. And they've just made me look a lot more polished, and they give me fresh ideas, and I can bounce ideas off them. And it sometimes you need help. And again, knowing when to delegate is that's probably the hardest thing when you're a self-employed person to learn
Yeah,
because you've got to part with money in order to give other people other roles, but you've
you got
got
to put trust
to
in them as well, haven't you? You got to put
you,
trust in them.
you've got to you've got to trust them because it's your business, your baby, isn't it? And if somebody goes and ruins all that and ruins
Well,
3 years worth of work in 3 minutes, it's yeah, you're going to be sick of the chip. But that's how you've got to do it. Sometimes you've got to sort of I don't know, loosen the shackles a little bit and give a little bit away and you realize there's people sometimes who can help you and use them if you can. I mean, I'm trying to get better at that. I haven't mastered it. But I do know I need to it's you've got to balance up time versus money, haven't you?
yeah.
Um, is it great earning loads of money if you never have any time to do anything with it? No, what's the point? So you've just got to somehow get it where everybody's happy and get your time back, and that's going to be key for me in the next 2 years, I think.
So, final question for you then. Looking ahead, how do you see technology and online marketing evolving for surveyors? And what changes are you planning to implement to stay ahead? So, we've obviously talked about your social media side of things and stuff, but do you think this is mainly focused around just the kind of promotion and marketing and business generation side of things? Where do you see yourself now? Where do you see it going? And are you planning for the future?
I've always got one eye on it. I'm still old school in the sense that I've been brought up to know that people buy from people, always have done, and I still think they always will. I have noticed, however, there's been an increase in in terms of my website, if somebody put an inquiry through on my website about a job, I always then phone that person, even though they've emailed, because I want to build a relationship immediately. I want to have a chat with them. Um, and I've definitely noticed probably in the last year or so how many people don't take the call. So if they don't answer my call, I then will reply to their email saying, I've just tried to ring you, but yep, here's that quote you've asked for. There's definitely an increase of how many people just then reply to you within a minute and go, yep, that's great, can we book it in? And I think, wow, you're ready to part with a lot of money and you're not even going to speak
Have
to
a
a
chat.
human.
Yeah.
So and see, we're all becoming. Is it a laziness? Is it an awkwardness? Are we all just so busy we don't have time to chat anymore? Um, that then's gonna if that becomes the easy way of booking jobs in, then AI is going to become really crucial. You'll be able to come up with systems that effectively just do all your bookings for you. Um, that'll be something I'll keep an eye on. Again, I'm not going to resist it. If there's something that does come into the game that makes my life easier, I'll I'll get on board. I still think the majority of my business comes from relationships with human interaction relationships, and I hope it stays that way. But I don't know. I mean, there are going to be changes, aren't there? And we're all going to have to get on board. I think our job is fortunate that I don't think a robot can ever do it. It's about being a human. It's about being a physical presence. It's about then being able to react to certain things on site that you couldn't have predicted. Then having that chat with somebody as a human to human.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to use empathy in our job. That's the bit we didn't get told, did we? We've got to be counselors. We've got to sometimes we deliver bad news
Yeah.
and we will have all done it. I mean, I've had people cry on the other end of the phone because their dream house is not a dream house.
It's a nightmare
It,
house.
it's got a
Yeah.
chimney that's about to collapse and it's yeah, there's things like that, or it's got spray foam in it, and yeah, that we sadly do deliver bad news a lot, and it's doing that in a sensitive way that, like I say, keeps that client on board. And yeah, I don't think a robot or an email can ever do that, can it? And
No, exactly. I mean, I always have at least one opportunity to plug Scafol into any podcast, it's kind of a poignant point where we have this kind of automated quoting system. So someone can go onto your website, they put in a little bit of detail, and because there's a fee, whatever your fee scale is or whatever you charge, they would get an automated quote. But
yeah,
then, how that company uses that. So I had it when I was employed because I wanted to not miss out on a quote. Some people these days, because of technology, people want an answer there and now. And if they want
yeah,
to go on a website, they don't want an inquiry and then have to wait a couple of hours because they could call up some of the bigger firms that have got admin teams that will answer the phone. Or if I'm hanging out at a loft and someone wants a quote, it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
that I can't answer it, but have that ability. But then if they get that quote, as soon as I know on Scaffold, we just tell you, someone's got this quote, this is what they said, but they've got their number, so then you'd call them. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And similar to you, then you get that kind of interaction with them, and you can continue, you can build that trust and that empathy. Well, not empathy, but you can build that kind of client business
You,
relationship.
you start building confidence with them, and I always say I'm not the best salesman at all. I haven't got a silky smooth, posh English accent or anything like that. I couldn't just cold call people. I wouldn't be very good at that at all. But in terms of a salesman for True Surveying, there would never ever be anybody better. And when anyone has any queries or what does a survey involve, would you look at this? Would you look at that? I can answer them, yes or no. Whether it's what they want to hear or not, it doesn't matter. But I can tell them exactly what will happen, at what time, what they will get, what they won't get. And I would say 9 times out of 10, a phone call with a client ends up in a booking for me.
Yeah,
Whereas emails might be looking at 50-50. So there's still a higher conversion rate when you can actually get through to somebody and talk to them. Um, you're basically just saying you don't need to go anywhere else. I'm your guy. I will
yeah.
look after you. And as long as you can convince them of that, they'll go, great, you'll do for me. And that, like I say, that will always work. But there is now definitely an opportunity for just instant quotes that everyone wants stuff yesterday, don't they? And
then you get that balance, like you say, don't you? So they get the information they want, but then you know they've got that information, and then you can follow up with that conversion, because getting the quote to them on time is one thing, but you have the opportunity to follow up with it, because like you said, you not being able to say you can't be, as a surveyor, being sole trader or working for yourself, you can't be available on that phone 100% of the time anymore, because like you said,
No.
you might be flying a drone and your phone's the screen, or you might have your phone on a 2 meter camera pole.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, bringing it down. So it's
But
just
you get some days where you're just on the phone, and while you're on the phone, you've missed 2 other calls come through, and you can't answer 3 at once. And it is what it is. I think we all just have to just do our best. That's how I've done. I try my best and do as good a job as I can for people, and it gets rewarded. I think if we all just be decent and put yourself out there, do as honest and as good a job as you're capable of, and I just think do what you say you'll do. If you say to somebody after the survey, I'll give you a call afterwards, I'll let you know if there's any issues, do it. Don't we all do sometimes. We think I can't be bothered ringing them. I don't really want to. I'll just send the report over and read it themselves. That's fine if that's what you said you would do. But don't, if you said I will call you, ring them afterwards. Just do all your steps, and that's all anyone ever asks for. Just deliver on what you say you'll do. You don't have to say I will ring you the second after I've finished that job.
Keep it vague.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I just think that works. It works for me anyway. I'm doing all right. So,
Well, you said I clearly you are, because you've got a great reputation. I know you, and I couldn't live any further away.
no, you couldn't. No, you're
And
right.
this is really the first time we've had a face to face. And I've just listed off all your awards and stuff, and yes, an award's an award, but they do have a fair reflection on not just the company but the person as well. So whatever you're doing is clearly working, and fair play. I think in terms of the podcast, I think there's some really insightful information in there to a plethora of people, whether you're a one-man band or a small independent, but even the larger companies, they can take a view on what they're doing with their marketing and how the opposition are doing it, really, and why are they losing business to the likes of Trew Surveying. And I know it's obviously not ideal for you that you've given that advice, but then it was going to take a long time to build a reputation up to back up these stuff. So really insightful, mate, and generally really pleased that you were willing to do a podcast with me. So
no, thanks for having me. It's I need to do more of these. So you've taken my
start one of
podcast.
your own, mate.
You've taken my podcast virginity. So well, I won't compete you with that. You can have the podcast. I'll.
I say you're only episode 10, so I wouldn't say I'm a master of podcast, but I have got a mic, so it looks like I know what I'm doing.
Exactly. I know I should have put some headphones on, shouldn't I? I often see these people with headphones. I think,
I can't wear headphones.
Ahead of me.
I've got a really small head, and when I put normal headphones on, it makes my head emphasizes the size.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, well, no, thanks once again. It's very much appreciated. And like I said, I think there's some content in there that people, surveyors and stuff like that listen will actually find really insightful and really useful. So thank you again.
Hope so. Yeah. Thank you.